Hello, my friends. This is Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California, for the Andy Falco Show. I didn't put that logo on my my screenshot there. I'm sorry, but that's what the show is. And I'm going to be bringing you some information that will hopefully give a clearer picture of this organization cabal of teachers unions, the NEA, the CTA, and the APLE, and a whole bunch of other smaller teachers unions in the Orange Unified School District, all the way to Chino Valley. I always want to call it Chino Hills, and then all the way down in Temecula. That these teachers unions are all essentially CTA and NEA are a group of unions versus right now in PYLUSD, Dr. Cherniss, the parents here in our community of the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, and the teachers. Now, the union, as they did at the most recent school board meeting, wants to say that these retired teachers get up at the podium and they say, us teachers are the union, and they try to make this connection. And I want to continuously tell you that the union is one organization, and then you have teachers. The teachers that I know of that have contacted me, sent me screenshots from some of the things that they're seeing in the community, to texting me, emailing me, or I see out at Costco or at Stefano's, will come up to me and say, wow, I want you to know that I don't agree with anything that the union's doing. And I am not the union. And sometimes they are members of the union because they feel like they're pressured to be so, or they have actually dropped out of the union. And so they are completely separate. The teachers are not the union. And the union is not the teacher. So in conclusion on this one specific spot or point is that I want to make sure you understand that when I'm talking about the union and any other parent at a school board meeting, or when you meet them while picking up your kids at school, when they're talking about the union, they're not talking about the teachers. Because I think that often gets lost in the conversation, that if they're talking bad about the union, saying that they're horrible people and they don't care about education or what's happening in our schools, they're not dissing the teachers. It's a completely separate point of view there. Really quickly, I want to make sure and let you know about my sponsors. I got LifeWise. Go to livelifewise.tv. Great supplements. They have things to help you sleep and take away some inflammation, and even give you some things for beauty that you might want and I may want to take on a regular basis. And StreamYard, that's the platform I'm using to go to you live. You go to getstreamyardnow.com. All right. So what do I want to make sure and talk about today? And that is the union is attacking through a whole bunch of lies our school district, which namely right now is our superintendent, Dr. Alex Cherniss, his executive team, which includes Dr. Gates and Mr. Stein and Dr. Young, and then three of the school board members, which is Leander Blades, Sean Youngblood, and Todd Frazier. The other two, Buck and Marilyn, are essentially the union. So you have school board members that are trustees that are all for interfering with what's happening at the district, anything that's good, and interfering with Dr. Cherniss doing his job, and essentially what the executive team and the trustees of Leandra and Todd and Sean are trying to do to improve education, enrollment, and make sure that kids continue to come to class when school starts, and showing up and being there on time, and making sure that that revenue is generated through enrollment and attendance in school. And so these two have joined up with the unions to interfere with what's happening. And so you ask me, I hear you asking me, so what is happening? Because you know what? I'm part of these this Yorba Linda Moms, or I'm part of this PYL what's it called, PYL Buzz, and these other organizations, and they say that it's just a crazy mess over at the union, that all these principals are being fired and all these teachers are being fired, that it's crazy, that people are crying at El Dorado as Joey Davis says that he's no longer coming back, and that he was fired, when in fact he wasn't fired. He was actually given another position and actually a promotion, but he chose not to return. But you have Bonnie Condi over in Yorba Linda Mom saying, oh, it was horrible. People were crying. And they forgot to tell him. But he was also offered a promotion and I think even a raise, if I'm not mistaken. But he chose not to take it. He wasn't kicked out of the district. He chose to go to Brea Olinda. Who knows why Brea Olinda decided to do that, but they did. All right. So really quickly, I want to make sure and you understand this particular detail here. So on the left, we have the California Teachers Association, which includes APLE, NEA, and all the other ones, and the progressives that are in our community that support and are, what word can I use? I'm trying to be very nice today. And they're just people in our community that have been sold a whole bunch of nonsense and believe it. And so that's them on the left. They believe in CRT, anti-education. They hate like crazy. They actually hate Dr. Cherniss. They hate the 3 school board members. They hate progress. And there's just this fuel of hate, which I will be able to share with you and show you proof in just a minute. DEI, which doesn't work, and every organization who's tried to put DEI is dying, and they're taking it out now. They encourage porn in the libraries. They call it book burning when we don't allow porn in the libraries. They love gender confusion. And as you can tell, there's a group of people that somehow convinced the federal government that Title IX should be more about men and less about women, which is really crazy. And then they want to shut out parents. They hate parents' rights. And again, I'll just go back and visit CRT. They love it, CRT. They love to support Cal State Fullerton, who is teaching teachers how to teach CRT. On the right, you have what the current PYLUSD executive staff and those 3 school board members are trying to do, and that is parent partnerships, education, really focusing on sports and arts in addition to education. And then they want to focus on what's going to help kids go out into the future and be, just really productive citizens in our world. And that's really the 4 blocks that I've identified. Now, these are my words. This isn't something that Dr. Cherniss has given me or the 3 school board members. But when I look at what they're doing, these are the 4 really cornerstones of PYLUSD now, which have really never been in existence, at least not as far as the 20 years that I've been involved in the school district with my children in the school, that these 4 things are what they are focusing right now, and is really important. So you got those things that the CTA is focused on and all their lackeys. And then on the right, you have what is currently happening. How do I know this? Well, here are some of the accomplishments. Dr. Alex Cherniss' accomplishments so far in less than a year over at PYLUSD has gotten more done than they've gotten done in the last 20 years that I've been a part of the school district. Number 1, facilitated the opening of new preschools. 3 will be coming into the 23-24 school year, and an additional 3 in the 24-25. He's hired a highly skilled and diverse executive team and principals, which again, Buck and Maryland voted no to. Number 3, reduced declining enrollment projections. To date, we've doubled new enrollment in TK and K versus last year at this time. 4, engage the entire community, which is transparency that they keep screaming about, which has never been more transparent. So they've engaged the entire community through the first state of district event, superintendent roundtables, visits to city council meetings, biweekly Monday messages, and visits to and with other local organizations. 5, this is really important, uncovered ineffective, illegal employee compensation policies or practices, negotiated with the city of Anaheim to agree to add a school resource officer, established an Orange County School Computer Science School, OCSCS, a computer science charter school for grades 6 through 8, which this charter school is ran by PYLUSD, not an outside charter school organization. Number 8, identified $43 million in district funding sources previously never presented to the board or public by at a meeting or study session, including capital facility funds, developer fees, school cafeteria funding, etc. So let me just take this off for just 1 second. So we have a group of people that went onto the podium the other day, and we see them in these private groups trashing the 3 trustees and trashing Alex Cherniss and his executive staff and saying, where are they getting this money? What is happening with this money? And over the last several years that I've been going to the school board meetings, and especially that first day that I went, there was millions of dollars. Well, let's go with at least hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars was being spent every time I went to a school board meeting, and nobody asked a question. They just says that everybody approve and everybody say aye, and we approve the money. And at no time did I see anybody in the audience scream out like what happened at the last school board meeting. Patricia Hanzo yelling and screaming, "We need to know where this money is coming from." None of that was happening when they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then it took Dr. Alex Cherniss to find, hey, there's $43 million that has never been presented to the board and never been publicly notified that this money is available. And so he has done that. And then they scream that he's not being transparent. It is really crazy. Number 9, created a special education employment program through the Venture Academy and hired 3 students thus far. Number 10, created a new special education diploma bound program and graduated 3 students thus far. Developed a free school after school intervention program, K through 12, to focus on bringing thousands of students up to grade level when we've had 40 or more percent only reaching grade level in the past administrations, which they say, oh, they were so wonderful, yet only 40% were reaching grade level. But Dr. Alex Cherniss took immediate action and brought thousands of students to grade level through these intervention programs. Developed a fentanyl awareness program. Number 13, established after school, middle school sports programs like wrestling and track meets that have been fantastic. Thousands of children have been enjoying the middle school sports programs. Established a free after-school tutoring program in mathematics for thousands of students by paying over $1 million to highly skilled, amazing teachers to do this work. Again, this is another thing, I'm going to bring this up with some other issues, is that this teachers union is attacking like crazy Alex Cherniss and the trustees, and yet they're doing nothing but bringing revenue to the teachers, bringing more teachers to the school district, giving them jobs. You would think that the teachers union, who's supposedly for teachers, would be kissing the derrieres of the trustees and Alex Cherniss, but they're not. They are instead trashing him, talking about how horrible he is, but yet he's developing programs where more teachers are coming and 0 teachers are being fired. And this is one of those things that I think is just so crazy that it just drives me crazy, obviously, as you can tell by my voice. Establish a Universal Sports Institute, which is, again, driving people crazy, as a pathway for independent study students and a training and recovery facility for high school students within our district and who otherwise could not afford this sort of athletic support. If you want more details, Trustee Frazier put out a fantastic video that explains a whole lot of stuff. You know, everybody keeps screaming about what does this do? How does it work? He explains everything. There's also a website you can go to. I don't know of any other program in the history that I've been involved in here in the school district, again, for 20 years, where so much information has been put out about a project that's not even live yet, but it's being created, that there's that much information. And yet the union and their lackeys that go and speak at the school board meeting last Tuesday, which was they were not nice, and and there's been so much information. You have now, in addition to the website that's been out, in addition to Dr. Cherniss speaking about it at the previous school board meeting, to a PDF being available on the PYLUSD website for months, and now again this video that Trustee Frazier put out. There has been so much information, so much transparency that, but they'll still come up and say, "Oh my gosh, they're not sharing anything. We need to sue. We need him to resign." And that's what they're asking. They put up some nonsense where they are demanding his resignation for the UCI program. USI program. And so let's continue. This is the last slide for this, but there's more. 16, passed the district's full first multi-year contract with our employees in many years, thus giving them raises and bonuses while providing a long-term physical budget for our board. Again, I got to come down off of this one too, is because one of the things you hear them saying is that, oh, the teachers are so scared the staff is so afraid that they're going to be fired, that they're going to lose their job. It's unstable. He just did a multi-year contract for the first time in years at PYLUSD. And so that is just a lie. I have not heard from not one single teacher that currently is working. I'm not talking about retired teachers or teachers from other districts that somehow have found their way to our school board meetings. But current teachers, I've not seen one who's contacted me and said, you know what, you're a big fat liar. I'm really scared. I wake up every morning in my pillow's full of tears and I'm full of sweats because I'm afraid what's going to happen. No, not one teacher has contacted me. Increased compensation for special education aides by over 15% to make us more competitive. Oh my gosh, did he give more employees more money? Yes. 18, increasing enrollment year to date over 400 more kids than last at this time. Electronic board agendas, retained more principals at their sites than in the past 5+ years. No, they like to say that that we're losing hundreds, whatever they say, several principals. No, we've lost fewer than they have in the last 5 years. Visits every school once per month, more than any other previous superintendent. Winter camp for every elementary school in the district, not just for some. And again, those are just some of the things. Like another one that just came to me is that he put walls up in this one area at Travis Ranch Middle School. Is it middle school? I think it is, where there were 4 teachers trying to teach over each other in one single building with no walls separating the 4 classes. That had been like that for over 20 years. Did the previous administration do that? No. Did the teachers union say, hey, what's going on? Why do we have 4 teachers trying to teach class in one building and trying to talk over each other? No, the teachers union did nothing about that. They thought it was perfectly fine when El Sasser and Matthews and the past school board members just let that happen and did none of these other things. And yet Dr. Cherniss has done all those things. So those are the things right now that I've been able to put down on a list that I know of that has been accomplished by Dr. Cherniss and, of course, the 3 trustees. The other 2 have mostly voted no for many of those things. And so, there's lights at El Dorado. We forgot about that. I don't think that's on there. Again, they voted no on the diverse executive staff. They didn't want to see a diverse executive staff, apparently. And so, taking a break here, let me see. I got a couple comments. I just want to look at these. Here's another one that people are so funny. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. Blake Montero, CTA should continue to be an important part of our district. Book reader, it was Travis Elementary. Sorry about that. Thank you, book reader. Appreciate that. Again, showing proof that what I'm telling you is not a lie, because what I love to see is people send me screenshots all the time from, again, like I said, these other groups like Your Belinda Moms and other stuff. Again, I've never been a member of Your Belinda. I've never logged in. My wife apparently was a member and I had no idea. I found out that she was when Bonnie Conte put a post apparently that was sent to me that says, yeah, his wife used to be a member of Your Belinda Moms, but I kicked her out. I didn't know she was a member. So just for those of you, I'm not a Your Belinda mom, and I'm not in there and never have been. But it's funny to see Bonnie Conte, who loves to tell people she's a conservative, yet she trashes everything that the school board is doing and that what Alex Cherniss is doing. And then again, talking about Joey Davis, crying and saying that he got fired when in fact he got a promotion or got offered a promotion, and that is that's the truth. All right, book reader says my kids were in those stupid noisy rooms. How crazy is that, book reader, that they allowed that to happen for decades and didn't do it. Nobody did anything about it. The school, the teachers unions, who hates all this progress and probably hates the fact that they put the walls up between the 4 classes, which is just really crazy. All right, so that is what is happening. That is the truth. That is how great things are moving in PYLUSD. And again, this is just his first year. Can you imagine what's going to happen as time goes on, as they begin to really have these things begin to take hold? The foundation begins to be laid for greater education. And just one last thing before I go on to the proof that I have that these people have lost their minds. And I'm going to be very nice to these people today. I just want to make sure and let you know that ahead of time, is that the fact that in the nation, they have this ability to rate all the schools, and the fact that we are in the 1,500th, and I think our best school, which I believe is Yorba Linda High School, as far as the ratings are concerned, is falls into the mid thousands, like 1,500. I'm not sure if that's exactly the way you should say that or not, but it's somewhere around the 1,500th, and then 1,600th, and I think not El Dorado, but El Camino is something like 3,000th in the country as far as schools are concerned. And I just like laughed back at the previous administration. They say, "Wow, we're 1,500th. Isn't that fantastic?" And I just like, who would think that that is fantastic? I mean, why are we not number one? Like, I don't understand. Why are we not in the top 10? But I believe now with saying that, this is where I wanted to go with this, is that I believe we can be with Dr. Cherniss, these three school board members. And if we could get Buck and Marilyn out because they're really an anchor to the progress at PYLUSD, if we could get them out and make sure and vote in some other really strong, competent trustees that are for students, that are for parents' rights, that are for progress and for Dr. Alex Cherniss and supporting the programs and figuring out how we can go, we could be number one in the nation. I really, truly believe that with what we've been able to see in this very first year. But it's going to take you and the community to understand that anybody that says on their sign, union supported, is that is a no. That is a no-go. That is one person that just really needs to be crossed off any of the possibilities. If anything that says that they are receiving campaign financing or any support from a union, it has to be a hard no. Do not allow anybody that has a union connection whatsoever to be a trustee on our school board. So if we could do that coming up in November, then everything will be just fantastic. And we will get to see for the first time in the school district in the top 10, I believe, in the nation in schools overall, not just high schools, but I think we could do it in elementary and preschool, TK, elementary schools, middle schools, and in high schools. All right, let's get to some other facts here really quick. And I just want to show you that these people who scream and yell at me through these private groups, because I see it and hear it, they call me a liar. They call people that I know and say, "Hey, you need to get Andy to stop doing these videos because he's a liar." We're not saying those things. And Dr. Cherniss is evil, and Leandra is a murderer. And Todd Frazier is a Christian nationalist, and all they want to do is put Christian curriculum in all the schools, and nothing could be further from the truth. But here they are. Here is in Placentia, Yorba Linda. You can see. Oh my gosh, I need to put my glasses on. I forgot that these were going to be small print. On another platform that I do these on, I can zoom in. But over here on the far left, it starts out with Blades, Leandra, Fraze. Oh my gosh, what's that other one there? Frazier and Todd. Todd and Sean Youngblood would fail the kindness challenge in every way. Incompetent bigots is what they call them. So again, these people get mad. They get mad at me on occasion. Something will slip out. Again, I was a cop for over 20 years. I still am in the law enforcement space where this is just how we talk. And I know that some people get offended when I say even the slightest word. I don't cuss. I'm not a big cusser, but yet these people who say that they're being victimized by me, that I'm just mean to them. Here they are again. This is the OC moderator who's saying that these three trustees are incompetent bigots. Kick them out. Over here on the right, Jackie Jenkins says, "It's a scary time. I'm scared. It's going to get worse before it gets better." All those things that I just read are going to get worse before it gets better. Is that what she's really concerned about? On the right, it talks about, I also hear Davis and Elliott from Eldo are being terminated, and they are getting rid of principals so they can replace them with political pawns in our own schools. And it goes on. On the right, it says Josh Gill, Leandra Blades is the PYLUSD board president and January 6th traitor to her country. She is a former cop, and she shot and killed a homeless man with holding a stick. Again, none of those are true. They call them bigots. They call Leandra a murderer. They say that it's incompetent. They say that it's crazy. And then they go into the school board meeting and then they claim that they are victims. They claim that, oh my gosh, we just love these teachers. These teachers are amazing. We are. And you go, wait a minute. Is this the same person that just was calling us a bigot on these pages? You got Patricia Hanzo on the left. She's leading a march over at Esperanza High School based on a lie. Here she is in the middle picture. She's holding a sign up behind me that says I'm QAnon as I'm sitting there speaking before the school board meeting. And then you got this one over here. Patricia Hanzo again is saying that the school district that is under attack by extremists. Did those first four slides when I told you what was happening in the school, does that sound like the school district is under attack by extremists, QAnon conspiracy pushers? Re-elect Carrie Buck and Karen Freeman. Again, I told you what was happening during their reign when they had majority and when Elsasser and Matthews, and none of those things on those 4 pages that I first introduced you to was happening. There was one big building where they had 4 classrooms where no one, sorry about that, where no one could hear the other one, couldn't hear the lessons because there were so many teachers, children talking at the same time, and it was a mess. But yet, but Patricia Hanzo wants to bring Carrie Buck and Karen Freeman back to the good old days when there was nothing but incompetency running the school at that particular time. Here again is Patricia Hanzo say, keep the principals here. Remember that I told you that she told a number of children, I guess, through some other surrogates that are teachers and librarians at Esperanza that, hey, tell the kids that all the principals are being fired in the school, that hundreds of teachers are being let go, and we want them to protest on this specific day. Patricia Hanzo and her friends are all the ones that got the kids up there, and there she is holding a sign, again, keep the principals here, which again, the walkout was based on a lie. In the center here, Patricia says, Carrie Buck and Karen Freeman lead with integrity in supporting students, teachers, and public education. Both are endorsed by who? The local teachers union. That's all you need to know. On the right, nope. No Alex Jones, in parentheses, Todd Frazier. So they're calling Todd Frazier, Alex Jones, and crazy drama for the school board. Reject the team coup. That is their opinion of, and then they have a picture there of Todd Frazier with Alex Jones on, they put a lot of effort in all this kind of stuff. And so then we have Patricia Hanzo saying a few school boards are attempting to weaken public schools with their nonsense policies, board votes, and actions. And then it goes on to say that something about white privilege, white comfort is something that is being used to justify book bans. Now, Patricia Hanzo, who loves Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson. Well, maybe not always Marilyn Anderson, but on occasion, Marilyn Anderson. She just got through saying white comfort. Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson voted no to our very first Black superintendent. They voted no. And here she is saying that they have white comfort. Yet it's the 3 school board trustees that she hates who voted for our very first Black superintendent, who was amazing. Again, I just want to make sure that and emphasize this, that none of us care what color anybody is. None of us care if anybody's gay. Nobody cares if they're LGBTQ or purple. Nobody cares. When, as a parent, I want to make sure that my trustees only care about if somebody is competent. I only care if Dr. Alex Cherniss hires people that can get the job done. Whether they're Black or Asian or what have you, none of that matters to me. But apparently it matters to Buck and Marilyn because they voted no on our Asian superintendent, assistant superintendent, and our Black deputy superintendent. They voted no. But yet the other 3 are somehow in their white comfort area. So hopefully you get the understanding that this is just really craziness. PYLUSD is experiencing a poor quality school board trustee too. And we also want their hands off our kids' books, SEL programs, and sex education lessons. Parents already have the right to opt out. Again, putting emphasis on those things that I told you about. That's why I showed you this slide first, is that what she says is all incorporated in these things. She does not talk about education whatsoever in that slide. She talks about SEL programs, sex education. Parents already have the right to opt out. In other words, parents don't need their rights. but they can opt out of that. That's all they need the ability to do. We'll take it from there, according to Patricia Hanzo. Only got a couple more, so stick with me, please. Looking out for kids in public schools. Some MAGA majority school boards like PYLUSD is resisting California ethnic studies courses, froze an equity committee, and passed a resolution to ban CRT. Yes, that's true. We did. Why? Because it's race-based. Again, you saw where she goes with all of her posts. She attacks. She gets a little bit over the top at a school board meeting. Police come and escort her out because she's gotten a little unhinged. I hope that's okay for me to say. I think that's appropriate for what it is that she did. And so that is all on there. And again, you got Julie Sicard. Again, I want to explain this little bit that I'm showing to you. So you got Julie Sicard, who hates the trustees, who hates Dr. Cherniss. Dr. Cherniss being Jewish, by the way. But the other three are Christians. I'm a Christian. And Julie Sicard knows through my post on my personal page and other things that we've talked about, that Pastor Jack Hibbs over at Calvary Chapel Chino Hills is a great supporter of good school board members and trustees and prays over them and that kind of stuff. So because of that, she turns him into the IRS. So Julie Sicard, who also writes a lot about how she hates the three school board members and Dr. Alex Cherniss, she also is turning in Pastor Jack Hibbs to the IRS for telling people how to vote from the pulpit. Ashley Flagg Ibrahim, she says that the school board is corrupt. Where she gets that idea, I have no idea. Again, Dr. Cherniss laid out all the things of transparency that he does. He has meetings. He goes out and meets with everybody in the schools. He has all these times where he does round tables with teachers and parents. And again, we have websites that have all the information that are separate from the main website. And so how he's corrupt and how the trustees are corrupt, nobody really knows. Only two more, and then I'm done. I just want to make sure and lay out the foundation so that you understand that this is what's happening. Many of you do not know all of this is happening in these private groups. And I'm sorry, I'm going to come back really quick. Many of you don't understand what's happening in these private groups because you don't have time to partake in all this kind of stuff. But what happens is a few people read what's going on, because there's like 5,000 in Yorba Linda moms. I don't know, a couple thousand maybe, or used to be. They've all been reduced because they're kicking people out like crazy. But PYL Buzz had a large number of people in there. And so you have the people that are the 10 people that are raising all of this nonsense that I just shared with you. And then there's a few people that listen and start to believe it. And then they go out, and as you're picking up your kids, or you're meeting up at Chuck E. Cheese or out at the park or at one of the sports activities, you're sitting next to somebody and go, hey, did you hear that every teacher is getting fired at Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District? Did you hear that Alex Cherniss is corrupt? Did you hear that Leandra Blades is a murderer? Did you hear, right? And this is what's happening. So it's imperative. If you're wondering why I get sent screenshots from these private groups, which I am not in, I will say this for the 100th time, that they send me these screenshots. Oh, you got to tell people what's going on in these private groups. This is why parents are really confused about what is really happening at our school district. It's because union lackeys is one way of putting it, or union hacks is another way, and retired teachers have gone in there and infiltrated the information that goes out, that then gets spread out, and now it becomes truth, when in fact it's all a lie and based on propaganda that is being distributed by the unions. And so the only way that I can really think about how to get this out there is by sharing it with you. So I know there's people that, I have a problem with him sharing, these things that are going on. What else am I supposed to do? How else should we expose the lies that are happening? I just gave you 4 pages of stuff that Dr. Alex Cherniss is doing that you would never know is happening, because you're being told that Dr. Cherniss is corrupt, that Todd Frazier is a Christian nationalist of the Alex Jones ilk of some sort. Okay, let me get to this last one. So here you got Carrie Brunel, who says, Youngblood literally does nothing. Last month he looked at a building. Okay. And then Carrie Brunel, it says, I'm sorry, that was Christine Windle and Amari who said that. Then Carrie Brunel says, what is his salary? Wait a minute. You don't know that he gets like a $500 stipend? And well, I guess that's too much, she says here. And then she says, Andrea Grammatica says, these wackos need to go. They are trying to destroy our school district to make room for charter schools. That is not happening. We have just one charter school right now that is being run by the school district. And then Carrie Burnell comes back on and says, it's getting worse. They're firing all the high school principals. I know. They say that I lie when I say that I'm lying about them when they say these things, because that's what they say. They say, oh, Andy, I've never said that. I just showed you. Carrie Burnell right here says it's getting worse. They're firing all the high school principals and athletic directors. Davis is gone at the end of the year. Yes, because he chose to leave, not because, the district, he wasn't going to be returning as a principal, but he was being given a raise. Okay, why aren't we recalling the board and asking for the superintendent to resign, says PYLUSD administration, who refuses to be known. The other night, board member Anderson mentioned that she had to place a public records request, which is a bunch of BS, because she just needs to meet with Dr. Alex Cherniss, who she refuses to meet with, and ask the questions. Angela Ehlers here says, is this the video where he said he had pictures of students on his computer and was watching girls walk into school? I don't trust that guy. Who are they talking about? They're talking about me. I've never said that. I said that I have pictures that parents have sent me of things that are happening at El Dorado that I sent to Dr. Cherniss, Joey, to all the trustees. So this means that if I have whatever pictures she thinks I have, everybody has them in the school district, from the executive board to all the trustees to Joey, and even sometimes the assistant principal gets included on all of these emails that I've sent with some really bad things that are going on in the school. And if that's a fact. And so, but she turned it in. Angela Ehlers decided that she wanted to turn into pictures of girls walking into school. How she got that, I don't know. One last one here, and this is one from PYLUSD and Jason Kraft, both of them creating just some really misinformed, I will say, a bit of a post here where it says Andy has a confidential list of district employees that has been terminated, excused, unintentionally quit. Anyone have an issue that a private citizen has this list and brags about it being included in the process? That I'm being included in the process, she says here. And then Jason Kraft, who again is just really misinformed, and he's a whole lot of things that I'm not going to say, but I'm going to keep it at that. I don't see an issue with it because Andy is most likely not telling the truth. I've seen this tactic used by extremists several times. They have this magic ironclad piece of evidence proving them to be 100% right, but they can't show it to you because they don't want you to. They want you to do your own research. What's his name again? Jason. Jason watched the video apparently where I said I have this slide coming up that I'm going to show you that shows you how many principals that have been fired over the last several years. And then I went on to show this. Oh, where'd it go? Hold on. It disappeared. I'm going to show you this one. Now there's going to be this big conspiracy that I don't have it. Well, here it is. Here's the number of students, or I'm sorry, principals. I'm sorry, that's really weird. I uploaded it here. I'm going to bring it only because, let me bring this one down so that you can see me. I'm going to bring it back up. Really weird that one got, here we go. All right, I'll be back up. It's just loading right now. But this is an official document that was released by the school district to everyone. Not just to me, to everyone. And it's this is what he's talking about. Like he claims he has evidence that he doesn't have. No, everybody's seen this. It's out in social media. I took what I saw in social media and was talking about it. And he wants to choose to say, and of course, PYLUSD wants to say I had something that I didn't have that I shouldn't have. This is where in 2021, 12 principals were fired. Or their contracts weren't renewed, or they decided to resign. That's just the way that it is. In 21-22, 6. In 22-23, 5. And then 23-24, we think it's somewhere between 3 and 4 people have resigned. Here we go. Then I made this. This is my own. And it's just a graph that's easier to see, that you can see over the years since Leander Blades and Sean Youngblood became trustees, and then Todd Frazier became a trustee. And then, of course, Alex Cherniss. You can see the drop in the number of principals that have been fired, resigned, or their contracts have not been renewed, or they maybe got a promotion and went somewhere else. That you see that the number of those principals has become less and less and less throughout the years. But no, in these private groups where many parents aren't involved in and don't see, they're saying exact opposite, that they're all being fired, as I just showed you in one of those graphics. All right, my friends. Book reader says she was more than a little bit unhinged. You are being kind. See? I went through the whole video without calling anybody a really bad name. Apparently, that really offends people. People get offended. You got to realize that, again, I told you, I've been in law enforcement. I play ice hockey, and we call each other fat and stupid and idiot all the time. So to me, it's kind of normal. Apparently, some people think it's really, really bad. And so I've tried to be nice. These people are misinformed. They are leading you down a path of lies, deceit, and hate. That is really what they want to do. They want to cause parents to believe that Dr. Cherniss does not have the children's best interest in mind, that he does not have the parents' best interest in mind, that the trustees, again, are all these names that they call them all the time. So again, that's the thing. They can say all these slanderous things about these people, all that they want. And of course, me, like crazy. You should see the names that I get called in these private groups. I see it because I get sent the slides. But the minute you call somebody I don't know, let me just throw out a word, dimwit is one of my favorites, is that, oh my gosh, I'm turning that video off because he calls people's names. Okay. All right. But, you call Alex Cherniss incompetent, and you demand his resignation. You say that he is destroying the school. Those things to me are worse, because that is just not anything close to what this superintendent is doing. We are very lucky to have Dr. Alex Cherniss. We're very lucky to have Dr. Gates and Dr. Young and Mr. Stein and the other superintendents and administration that I don't say their name because I don't know everybody's name. But I think the executive staff that have been put in place are doing an amazing job. Again, they want Buck in Maryland want things that don't exist yet. They want a budget based on incomplete work and process that needs to be done before they can give a budget. And they scream and yell that they're not being transparent, that they want the resignation, that this thing shouldn't go through. But it's part of the process to figure out how much things cost and what people are going to be needed to complete the task, and a whole number of other things that need to be done first. Then they can put together a budget, and then they can present it and show you how it all works and how it's all going to be paid for. But that's not anything that they can even fathom, because they're just incompetent people that just have, you got to listen to Marilyn Anderson speak for just 10 seconds and many times Buck also. And you just realize that they just don't have what it takes to do what they need to be able to do in that position that they're in. How Carrie Buck has been doing this for a decade or two, I don't know, because it's just really sad to see what it is that she's trying to pull. The problem is, again, with the unions being involved, is that they write these scripts for these two people, and they read the script when Dr. Cherniss or Mr. Stein or Mr. Gates has a response to that script that they just got read. Now they're exposed for it not being their words or their investigation. It was not their investigation to put that particular statement together. And so now their only response is, oh yeah, or they repeat what they just read and they go, didn't I just tell you the answer to that? And so you just need to go to a school board meeting. One last thing before I end this. Now that I've gone on for 44 minutes, I know people tell me all the time, these go too long. I'm sorry. But is the last thing is that you need to stay for the whole thing, or on your way home, you need to listen, because you can listen on your phone. And I'm telling you to listen because you can also watch it. But if you're driving home, you don't want to be watching it. You can listen because it's still live streaming when you leave the board meeting. Or you can watch the recording later on from the time that you left and finish the rest of it. Because quite often the best information is not in public comments, unless I'm speaking, of course. No, but in public comments, it's not, is just people yelling and screaming about nonsense, especially when a bunch of retired teachers get talked into being there by Mary Cummings and given scripts to read that are just nonsense. The best information is after that, when the three trustees have the ability to speak about some of the things that are happening, or in response to some of the things that were said during public comment, or Dr. Alex Cherniss, a board report that he gives about what's happening and what new things are coming, and the ability to, again, talk about some of the things that are happening in regard to some of these projects that they scream about transparency. They want transparency, but they don't stay to listen to the information that they're screaming for when he's giving it to them. All right, so stick around if you can. All right, that's it, my friends. I just want to make sure and bring that to you, and I hope that was helpful. And yay for me, I didn't call anybody names. I guess I did say some people were incompetent, but that's not calling them names. That's just, I'm just telling the truth. All right, my friends, love you guys. God bless, and I will talk to you later. Make sure and share this out with your friends. Take care. Bye.